Welcome to the MamasteFit YouTube channel, and this workout is going to be a running prep workout. So we're incorporating a ton of exercises to help strengthen your body so that you can run pain-free and symptom-free, especially if you've given birth, if you've had a baby. This workout is going to help to support you. We're going to be incorporating exercises that are front to back movements, side to side, in addition to rotational exercises, plus some pelvic floor movements to help keep you strong as you prepare to return to run. So you can do this workout before you go for a run. You can do this in preparation to get back to run. There will be some impact movements in here as well. So I would recommend that you be at least 2 months postpartum before you do this workout. If you're wanting to work out with us on YouTube, go check out some of our other postpartum workouts or join our fitness programs where we kind of guide you through to help you get to this workout. And we start that program around 4 to 6 weeks postpartum. So check out that online program if you're wanting to join this one, but you don't feel quite ready. Otherwise, the equipment that you're going to need for this workout is we'll need some sort of elevated surface. I've got a wooden box here. You can use like your stairs, a stool that's not going to slide. We've had folks that use like ice boxes. Just make sure it's not going to slide around when you step up onto it. If you got some weights, go ahead and grab those as well. I would say like a light to medium weight would be a good option. And then we're going to need a long resistance band that's attached to something. And so I've got this looped band here. If you don't have a resistance band, you can do without it. And I'll just show you some modifications to do instead. But I would highly recommend having something set up. So if you're using your stairs, use your stairs as your box and then attach your band to your staircase rack or rails to use for that instead. So at a minimum, we need the box and the band attached and some medium weights. Once you grab that, let's go ahead and get started with this workout. We got 2 rounds using the box, and then we got 2 rounds where we're going to be using that long resistance band, and then we'll finish up with a short cool down. It's going to be around 25 to 26 minutes long, and know that you can pause at any time that you need. So once you've got your equipment, let's go ahead and get started with today's running prep workout. The first exercise that we're going to do is going to be a box squat. So we're going to squat down to the box for 30 seconds, and then we're going to come to a box squat to our toes, and then we're going to turn around and do some movements with that box. So if you need, you can increase the height of the box to make it easier or lower it down. So inhale, lower down to the box. We're just going to touch it. We're not going to completely sit down. Keep weight in the feet. Exhale, come up. So if you want to hold onto weights, you can just hold the weights up by your shoulders. You can hold one weight in front of you, or you can just do body weight. There's going to be a lot of movements in this. So I'm primarily just going to focus on body weight for this first portion. But again, you can add in weights if you like. Inhales to lower, exhale to come up. And now we're going to inhale to lower, exhale, come up onto the toes, and then lower back down. So we have a little bit of a more powerful extension at the top. Get a little bit of the calves in there. Let's go ahead and turn around now. So we're going to start with a forward step up. So you'll place one foot onto that box, and then we're going to step up. We're going to do all one leg, and then we'll switch. So place weight into that foot. I'm going to load this leg. You can even reach across if you like. Exhale, come up, and then inhale to lower down. If you want, you can add a balance so the opposite knee can come up. After these step-ups, we're going to move into some calf raises just on this side. So you're going to put that foot onto the floor and then come up onto the toes and then lower back down. So that same foot is still up on the box, just providing a little bit of support. Come up onto the toes, hold, and then come down. And if you want less support with this foot, come up into those tippy toes. We're going to transition to some supported hops from here. So pull weight into the foot that's on the box, and we're just going to hop. So it can be really small hops. It can be much bigger, depending on what you want to do. You can try to add your arms into it. But this is going to be our return to impact movements. So we're starting to load that pelvic floor in a way that's more supportive so it can build its endurance before we return to running. So let's go ahead and switch to the other leg now. So other leg is up on the box. I'm going to load that foot. You can reach, exhale, step up, inhale, lower down. If you want to add a balance, feel free. Now we're going to do the calf raises. So bring that opposite foot onto the floor, hold, and then lower down. And again, if you want less support with that leg on the box, come up onto those toes. And get ready, we're going to transition to those box-supported hops. And go ahead and bound on that other leg. So I'm using the foot on the box to help kind of slow me down. As I lower, that's going to help to kind of decrease the load onto that pelvic floor. In addition, as you hop, if you're feeling a little heaviness, you can kind of bring that belly towards that thigh. So we have a little bit more internal hip rotation. Let's move into our second round. We're just doing 2 rounds of this. Back to our box squat. So we have 30 seconds of just the squat, and then 30 seconds of the squat to coming up onto the toes. So feet are just a little bit wider than hip distance. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, come on up. I forgot that I lowered my box. So as we are preparing to return to running, or maybe you're going to go for a run after this workout, we want to focus on strengthening the legs in this bilateral movement first, so our squats. And then we can start to increase some of that impact from this more supported position. So now we're coming up onto the toes, adding a little bit of a power to the extension. And now we're going to move on to our step-ups. So again, we had the bilateral movement. We added some power to it. We also need to focus on strengthening single legs too. So go ahead and put weight into the foot that's on the box. We kind of reach across. Exhale, come on up. Inhale to lower. So we need single leg strength because the single leg strength is what we need as we bound from leg to leg as we run. So step-ups are a great thing to complement or to add on to your squats. So we have our bilateral strengthening exercise, and then we have our unilateral or one-sided stability exercise. Bring that foot to the floor. We have our calf raises. The whole kind of backside of the body is really impacted from pregnancy. So hamstrings and calves, sometimes a little bit lengthened, back a little bit tighter. So incorporating calf-specific strengthening and prep for running can be really, really helpful. And then begin to bounce. So using the leg that's on the box to slow the descent down. And incorporating these supported plyo movements or these supported jumping movements can really help the pelvic floor kind of wake up again, help it kind of sustain its endurance, and introduce that impact in a way that's not overwhelming it. Let's go ahead and switch legs. So now your other leg is up on that box. I'm going to put weight into that leg. Maybe we reach across. Exhale, come up. Inhale, lower down. And then with your step up, I want you to think about your foot on the box. Are we pretty even throughout? Or are you leaning a little bit more to the outside of the foot, to the inside of the foot? Bring that foot to the floor. We got our calf raises and prep for our bounding movement. So we have our single leg strengthening exercise, help with that hip stability, that ankle stability. And then we move into our plyo movement or our jumping movement to help increase the impact and the demand on the pelvic floor to prep for running. And then begin to hop. And again, using the foot that's on the box to help slowly lower you down. And you can get higher with it. You can just do little hops. Let's go ahead and put the box to the side. And now we're going to moving on to those staggered stance movements with that long band. So if you want to use a weight for the stagger stance, feel free. It can just be body weight, continuing again. So this is where we're going to be incorporating the lateral movement in addition to the rotational movement. So I got the band around the inside of my thigh. I'm going to start on the left side. And here we're going to do a little bit of a different movement on each side. So for a lot of us, the left inner thigh, hamstring a little bit weaker compared to the right. So we're going to start left leg in the band around the inside of that knee. And we're going to find a staggered stance. So work leg is the one with the band, other leg just providing a little bit of support. And then we're going to start by reaching for that foot. Exhale, extend in the hip. Inhale, lower down towards that foot. So we're thinking a hinge movement. So hips are going to the wall behind you, not the floor below you. We'll do the floor below you in the next movement when we move on to our reverse lunges. So here, we're adding in the rotation. As I lower down, I'm rotating belly towards that thigh. That thigh, think of it like a pole. It's not moving. I'm not rolling to the outside of that foot, rolling to the inside. I'm rotating the pelvis and then lower down, come back up to open. Go ahead and place that weight down. And now we're going to step back for reverse lunge and then up. So again, the hinge exercise, hips to wall behind you. Lunges and squats, hips to the floor below you. So torso is maintaining a more upright position. So with the band on the inside of the thigh, I have to resist a pull out of the knee. So put a little bit more weight into that big toe. We want the knee to maintain its alignment over the ankle. And as you lower, we can think belly towards thigh, lower down, exhale, face forward. So now place that band around the inside of your ankle, and we're going to step out and just bring the feet together and then out. So we have some adduction happening here. So we got 10 more seconds with the squeeze, and then we're going to face to the other direction, band still around the ankle, and we're going to extend that foot out. So turn around, and then we're going to kick the leg out to the side. If you can use your wall or supportive structure for balance, feel free. Otherwise, just put like a chair in front of you. So we got inner thigh strengthening, outer glute strengthening. So here's our side to side movement. And then in 5 seconds, we'll switch to the other side. We're going to do each side 2 times. So let's go ahead and switch sides now. We're going to take the band, set the right leg in. So the band's on the outside of that right thigh. And now we're still facing in the same direction. We'll start with that staggered stance. So left foot is back. I'm going to think rotate my hips, reach for the floor, exhale, come up, and then lower back down. If you're finding the rotational aspect is a little hard, where you're like, right, I rotate my belly towards my thighs, I lower, and then rotate forward as I stand up. Focus on chest rotating so we have more of this closed hip position, and just maintain that as you go up and down. And then once you feel more comfortable, we can add in the rotational aspect of the hip. So we're rotating in, and then we rotate out. 5 seconds, we'll move on to the lunges. Place that weight down, and I'm gonna step back and then stand up. So same thing as I lower belly to thigh, exhale, face forward. If that's confusing, just maintain your rotation towards your forward leg the entire time. Inter rotation is how we stabilize in our hip. And sometimes it's a little bit harder to find that more internally rotated position because all of pregnancy we favored external rotation. Everything a little bit more out. And so sometimes you have to relearn how to find these closed positions. So now we're going to bring that down to the ankle. We're going to start with that abduction. So bringing the leg out to the side and then back in. So the right glute and quad tend to be a little bit weaker compared to the left. And so emphasizing activation on the outside with a band on the outside of the knee for the RDLs and lunges can be really helpful for hip stability and pelvic balance. Turn around, we're going to do the adduction now. So legs squeezing together. So now we're going to repeat that whole sequence one more time, and then we'll finish up with some mobility. So we're going to take that band, put it around the left leg, around the inside of that left knee. Again, left inner thigh, hamstring, tend to be a little bit weaker compared to the right. So we want to have a little bit more inner thigh activation. So reaching down, exhale, come up. Inhale, lower down, exhale up. So again, we're keeping that knee stacked over the ankle, maybe a little bit more weight to the big toe. And then we're thinking rotate belly on the femur, belly towards the thigh. And then as you come up and that glute is extending, it's contracting, we're facing forward. Improving how well your hip can rotate and your pelvis rotates on your femur is really helpful to decreasing discomfort while running and just in general. Let's go ahead and do our lunges. So we're stepping back and then forward. Same thing. As you lower, almost feel like your belly is pushing into your thigh, and then we're facing forward at the top. So belly is towards the thigh, face forward at the top. Belly towards the thigh, face forward at the top. Again, keep that knee stacked over the ankle. After this, we'll move into our abduction and adduction banded exercises. Okay, bring that band to the ankle, and now we're gonna squeeze thighs together and then come back out. And as you squeeze together, kind of hold there for a sec. Make sure that foot is floating off the ground so you're not just standing on it. Let's go ahead and switch directions. So kicking that leg out to the side, hold, and then back in. Let's go ahead and switch legs now. So again, we're facing in the same direction. Band is on the outside of that right thigh, so like chest above the knee. Put weight into that right foot. Left foot steps back, just a little bit of support. 90% of the weight's in that right foot though. You're gonna go ahead and reach down, grab onto your weight. Exhale, come up. Inhale, reach down. And then again, belly comes towards the thigh. And then face forward. Belly towards the thigh, and then face forward. And really think about that knee is staying stacked over the ankle. It's not flailing in, it's not pushing out. Lots of weight in the big toe and the pinky toe side. Let's put that weight down and do our lunges now. So step back, belly to thigh. Exhale, face forward. As we lower, we're rotating belly closer, knees stay stacked. And then exhale to face forward. And again, the rotational aspect of these single leg movements can be a little confusing at first. Most of the time we don't think to rotate. It's really helpful. It lengthens the glute and then contracts it. So we have more range of motion with the glute musculature. So they're gonna get stronger. They're gonna grow bigger. Let's go ahead and bring that band to the outside of the ankle, and then we'll come out and then back in. Hold at that extension, come back in. Let's switch directions now. So bring the legs together, keep that foot floating, and then back out. And that concludes the strengthening portion. So let's finish up with some mobility work. So before we go running, or after you get done with the run, you may be feeling more heaviness, maybe some lower back discomfort. So let's do 2 movements that can help to relieve a lot of that pressure. So we're gonna start in this stance where both feet are kind of parallel to one another. And then I want you to step the right foot forward, chest a tad. Reach forward with the right hand so that your torso kind of expands. So you kind of do like this. And then I want you to shift your weight back into that left leg. You can have a little bit of a bend there. You could lift that right foot up and you would fairly maintain that position. So now you can bring your hands down, and I want you to sink into that hip, trying to feel a big stretch in this glute. Let's start from the foot. We're gonna take lots of weight into that big toe. Knee is almost rotating in. That femur is like a pole. My pelvis is what is rotating on top of it. And then I'm gonna bring belly a little bit more towards the thigh. Now for the back, slight round in the back. Again, feeling a big stretch in here. And then I want you to think about that left bottom of the rib. I want you to think kind of sink it in, not crunch, but like kind of sink it in so you twist a little bit deeper. And now let's go find it on the other side. So feet are parallel. I'm going to set that left foot forward, reach the left arm forward, and then open up. So we have this kind of T position. And then I'm going to reach down for the floor. So I'm hinging here. And then you can bring your hands down. And then I'm going to sink my weight into that right leg. So trying to feel more of a stretch here in this glute. Let's start from the foot. Lots of weight in that left or that right big toe. Knee is kind of rotating in. I'm going to think belly towards that thigh while the femur and the leg maintains its position. So when I rotate, that leg is not rotating with me. And then low back, think slight tuck underneath. So these hip shifted exercises helps your pelvis find internal pelvic rotation, which is also going to help kind of stretch the pelvic floor musculature around your tailbone area and your sacral area, which for a lot of us is tighter compared to the front half of our pelvic floor. So if you're experiencing like issues with constipation, tailbone pain, SI joint pain, even issues with like bladder urgency and bladder leakage, it could be because the posterior portion of your pelvic floor really tight. And so other halves kind of have to stretch a little bit more. So front half of the pelvic floor that supports our bladder may be overly stretched and unable to contract. And so releasing back here, super helpful. So let's finish up on the floor in a tabletop position, and we're going to find a back expansion exercise. So we're going to come down onto the forearms. Here we're going to think round in the back. So I'm pushing my belly away from the floor. You can tuck your chin here. If you want, you can sit back into more of a child's pose. For a lot of us, we tend to favor a lot of extension, especially for carrying babies, when we're running, when we're doing dynamic movement. We tend to be a little bit more arched in our backs. And so finding this rounded position can help to decrease the compression in the backside of our body, to release some tensions in the back half of our pelvic floor. So if you are feeling heaviness in the pelvic floor, if you're feeling that your bladder, like you're leaking, if you're having pelvic floor issues, sometimes incorporating some hip shifts and some back expansion can help to relieve a lot of those symptoms. So we're finding this rounded position here. Think breathe into the back. Exhale, belly to spine. It's going to help round you a little bit more. And you can also do this like hugging a pillow. You can find this position really anywhere. We're just kind of rounding more intentionally here. Big breath into the back. Exhale, belly to spine. And that concludes our running prep workout. So again, if you want more support in your return to running in the postpartum timeframe, maybe you're feeling more pelvic floor issues, you're having more hip pain, but you really want to get back to running, check out our Return to Running postpartum program. Our Return to Running program is going to include a foundations portion, which is going to help to rebuild your stabilization, rebuild your overall strength. So we build a strong foundation and a strong base to then build on that more dynamic activity. The program then progresses towards those plyometrics, those intro to impact movements, a lot more single leg rotational exercises, and an intentional return to running. And so we're not just going to go for a 5-mile run or for a mile run or for a 10-minute run right away. We're going to ease into it with shorter timed intervals. So we'll do like 30 seconds of running, a minute of walking, just to kind of ease our pelvic floors back into it so they don't overly fatigue and they can meet the demand in a gradual way. So check out our online postpartum fitness programs because we want to help you feel strong again in motherhood so that you can meet the demands of keeping up with your kids today and for years to come. You can use code YouTube10 to get 10% off any of our online offerings, both for the postpartum and for pregnancy, any of our online courses, our professional courses, if you want to learn more about the why behind all of this. So thanks so much for joining me. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. There's new workouts every Tuesday. New podcast episodes Wednesdays. We got a lot of stuff coming on Fridays. So there are tons of free content over here on YouTube, over on our Instagram and then join our online courses.